So hey guys, welcome to the second part of the 2,000 subscriber Q&A extravaganza. I'm filming this a long period of time after the first part. I've now relocated to college, and I'm now filming in my car because I'm pretty sure it's actually more soundproof than my room. And I will be reading off questions rather from a computer, but from this Kindle, because I am a tech-savvy guru. Once again, I'm going to be aiming for about a 90-minute runtime for this part. I don't think I'll finish based on the last part. But let's just go back to where we left off. I was in the middle of Music Gaming's question series. We just talked about good gameplay or nice story and gorgeous graphics. Moving on to, do you play an instrument? I do play an instrument. It's called the guillotine. Oh, not an instrument of torture, okay, yeah. I play the flute as my primary instrument. I've dabbled around with the piano. I've dabbled around with the clarinet and the saxophone, but I don't own any of those last three. I played recorder once upon a long time ago in elementary school. But yeah, I play good old standard sideways flute. Played in a jazz band here at school. Little student combo. I don't think I'm actually good enough or have the range to play it in an orchestra, and it's also kind of a shitty flute, so I wouldn't want to bring down the group. But in a jazz band, I can just call it my unique sound, so that's a good thing. But yeah, that's my instrument, and I don't know how much more I can really say about that. So good, I am making good progress already. I need to make sure not to accidentally poke this, otherwise I'll change pages. Which game have you put the most time in? Like, over my entire lifetime, I've probably put the most time into first-gen Pokemon games, because I've been playing them literally since they came out. And they are generally time-consuming games, and I play them a lot. Like, even with all the speed up on emulators I do, it probably adds up. Second gen probably is next. Outside of Pokemon, probably, I don't know, one of the Zelda games, Ocarina of Time, maybe. I mean, I've gotten to the point where Oracle of Seasons, I beat it so quickly, no matter how many times I played, it's probably not really adding up to much. I can beat it literally in an afternoon. So something like that. A Zelda game for sure, I would say. What is your favorite food? That's always a difficult question because I'm never sure if I want a precise food or an individual ingredient or dish or whatever. And even some of my favorite like single ingredients are enhanced in some way. Dried mangoes are really, really good, guys. They have a bit of sugar added, so it's kind of cheating. But if I were to choose one solitary ingredient that I could just eat at any time, dried mangoes would be the way to go. If I were to go for a full dish, clam linguine has been a favorite in my household for a long time. I like pastas of many sorts. But like, I'm a seafood person. I'm from Seattle, so clam linguine is the way to go. Not too spicy, if you are so kind. What kind of music are you into? Well, like I said, I do play in a jazz band, so I do listen to a decent amount of jazz. I'm not actually as well versed in the jazz compendium as I probably should be, considering how much I play. I listen to whatever's currently playing on the radio, but don't really pursue it much past that. If Todd in the Shadows reviews something, I'll listen to it. Usually I tend to be pretty alright, okay with even supposedly bad music. But I found that the super heavy synthesized, dense music of the nowadays isn't really my thing. I like stuff with a little more space. So jazz fits that a lot. Actually, country to a certain extent, although often I don't connect to what it's speaking about. Like, I don't know what you would classify Godier as, but Godier was pretty good. That hit single, or whatever, that he came out with recently definitely helped turn me on to him, and I like him a lot. So, like, acoustic things, I guess, would be a good way to kind of envelop everything. Not so much classical. I don't follow classical very well. Like, to me, it sounds like a bunch of notes without a whole lot of direction most of the time, and that kind of bugs me. I might just need to learn different classical forms, like sonata form and stuff, and once I understand them more on a mechanical level, I'll see where they're going and enjoy them more. But that's not worth the effort. Because if you have to truly try to enjoy something, it's not junk food entertainment. And that's kind of what I was going for there. Cats or dogs? This is still music gaming, by the way. I really depends on the breed of dog. I love cats in basically all shapes and forms, unless they're hairless, because those are kind of like scraggly and not as cuddly. But dogs, they're so varied. I love the hell out of pugs. Pugs are the best, and I will do fisticuffs with anyone who disagrees. But, like, pit bulls, not so much. Shar-Peis are adorable. German Shepherds are pretty cool. But, like, dogs are so much more diverse than cats. I can't just choose dogs or cats. Like, cats are a reliable way for me to be happy with whomever it is. Dogs, it varies. So I'm just going to tentatively say cats. Let's go for cats. And final question from Music Gaming's, is there anything wrong with today's society? There are a lot of things wrong with today's society. People are poor and starving on the streets, out of a job. People are fighting when they should be collaborating to fix problems. Basically nothing works perfectly. There's always someone who gets the short end of the stick. But there are problems. There are people suffering. In a myriad of different ways, people are suffering. So, yeah, let's fix that. Those are problems. Just to be incredibly catch-all, yes, there are. 129 Metal asks, why is a fish when it swims? Now, this is complicated because, honestly, not all fish are defined by their swimming capabilities, because there are things like mudfish or mudskippers or whatever the official genetic title is for the mudkip species, they're freshener. And so, like, when those fish do what they're special at, walking on land or running on mud or whatever, they're still fish, but they're not swimming, and they're made exceptional because they don't. And I feel like to shortchange every individual species of fish simply by saying they are fish because they swim, that's discourteous. Octopodes, octopuses, octopi, they are unique for more than their swimming capabilities, and we are giving them their due when we acknowledge those specialties. And so, asking why is a fish when it swims, I think it's a very close-minded question. If you don't mind me judging you like that, I would recommend that you consider your life's path a little more cautiously. Oh, and then also from 129 Metal, what am the sky? Now the sky again. This is. I'm not judging you again for this one. All right, this isn't so much closed-minded as it is just a little naive, I guess. But the sky is not a singular thing. Sky is a collaboration between many components. I guess it's... I would take the same stance in discussing the government. You know, it's not just the government as a singular entity. You know, it's a bunch of individuals, a bunch of different sects, a bunch of different groups working together to create a whole that we classify under this umbrella term. But to simply define what am the sky, you know, it's a sum of parts. It's a much more complex question. It's the water vapors, the clouds, it's the sunlight, it's the oxygen, it's the nitrogen, it's everything. It's a lot of things. And of course I'm not a scientist, so I can't give you the best explanation for that. But I would say that it's a collaboration. It's a community. That's what the sky am. Crazy Toasty asks, what happened to all your old subscribers? It seems you lost a lot of people when you switched channels, frowny face. I guess moving channels gave people who didn't really care an excuse to not subscribe to the new one and just move on with their life. That's a possibility. I think I communicated pretty clearly that I was moving channels. I posted an update video saying, hey, I'm moving to a new channel. I mentioned it in several of the redo episodes that I made afterwards, saying, hey, I have a new channel. And I think I had the Facebook page back then, didn't I? No, I made the Facebook page around the same time as when I moved to the new channel, so maybe that wasn't the best, communication thing. But Twitter, I think I did basically all I could to tell people that I was moving. It's people who were inclined to lose interest anyway, who felt that they didn't want to bother. And it's unfortunate, but that's what happens. People just lose interest over time. That's how internet demographics work. For no good reason, people will just lose interest. That's frustrating. But if I could figure out what I was missing from back then, other than spontaneity and weirdness rather than informativeness, maybe I could find a new niche. I don't know. I don't want to make this viewer demographic thing too academic, too business-like, because in the end I'm an entertainer, and views are just a way to see, am I entertaining people? Do you feel you should have pushed/advertised this channel more on your old channel? Does the drop in numbers or numbers of followers bother you? I certainly feel pretty bad about it. Basically, my same response applies. I wish I hadn't lost them, because it means that I failed to entertain them. I mean, as a side thing, yes, it means I make less money, whatever. But it's more a personal failing of, oh, I'm not a good enough entertainer to retain these people's interests. And that does make me feel bad. And oh god, I started making this, no, I'm going too far. Oh no, I don't even... How do I make Kindles work, people? It's not even that many pages, but come on. We got this, guys. Come on. Oh, stop doing that. I think what I did in creating this Q&A ebook or whatever is that I somehow maintained the hyperlinks to people's YouTube pages. And so if I accidentally touch a person's username on here, it'll try to find it in a web browser. I'm still learning this Kindle thing. Okay, back to Crazy Toasty. No, that's all the Crazy Toasty questions. Ultimate Vegeta Lover asks, what are your favorite games to play? Actually, in getting my new iPhone, which I've been using to film these Q&A specials, the game that I've played probably the most in the past few weeks is Flow Free, which is a little simple puzzle game where you have a grid and some colored dots, and you connect the colored dots and try to fill in the whole grid. And it's completely free, and there are tons of puzzles, and it's really fun. Like, it's a simple concept, doesn't complicate itself, and it's just simple, like, touch things, get congratulations, Skinner box happiness principle stuff. But also, like, Tetris I play all the time. I play Pokemon games all the time, of course. I play through Oracle of Seasons probably still once a year. I will bust out old Mario games and play for a few stars. Things like that. I go through phases, usually. I will pick up an old game and like, man, I had a lot of fun with this, and I'll play that, and I'll play other games in the series, and then I'll move on for a year or two. But, of course, the old mainstay Nintendo franchises are still the ones that keep my interest the most. Do you play any mystery dungeon games? I played Blue Rescue Team, or whatever, the first DS game. And I got through the first credits, and it was okay, I guess. I don't know, the fact that it was, like, randomly generated levels, I get the concept. I don't know, it just never really engrossed me the same way as other games. It was a weird mix of turn-based and real-time that I never really fell in love with. The plot was pretty cheesy. I've tried on multiple occasions to play Explorers of Time or the Sky or whatever the second DS games were. I never get very far in those either, so I don't know. Sometimes I play a game and I don't like it for no good reason, and I think mystery dungeon games fall under that category. Tying into that, the next question, do you plan to play the new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game? Which, I forget which system that's coming out for, 3DS, I think. It would be a good opportunity for me to try to jump back into the series. So, I tentatively say that I want to give it a try, but I also want to give Pokemon Conquest a try, and I haven't bought that yet, so who knows. Do you plan to do another Comparing the Differences series? I don't know, the format of those kind of series constantly changes in my head of how I want to do things. I sort of want to do, like, once I have 3DS capability for recording, an Ocarina of Time 3D versus original, or Master Quest, or just, like, do a blind, no, not blind, but a marathon of Master Quest and 100% of original, things like that. I don't know. They are a fun thing for me to do. They're a lot of work, but they're fun. So, I'm going to say yes. I don't know what it'll be. Maybe Black 2 versus White 2? Probably. Depending on what I said last week. Entirely possible. Full Metal 637 asked, if you could go to any time in history and punch one person in the face, who would it be? I would go to ancient Rome. I don't know, there are just so many emperors who were dicks that I would want to punch in the face. I'm usually not a violent person, so I don't consider things like this. But, like, one of the many Tarquins, or if I get away with this, like, scot-free, who was the guy? Nero. I would punch Nero in the face. Screw Nero, he's a jerk. Rome had a lot of jerks, just to be clear. Or of course, the standard option of Hitler, but it's so overdone, it's mainstream. I think it just changed the wrong page. It didn't even change pages. Oh, and Full Metal also asks, would you rather have a Gen 6 or Ruby and Sapphire remake? Well, Gen 6 is coming out, so... And basically my stance on remakes is that the more generations we make, the better the technology gets, and so the better the eventual remakes will be. So it's kind of a tension there. I want the remakes to be as good as possible, but I want them to come out eventually. So, no syrup requires. Do you ever regret switching channels and want to switch back to the larger fan base that you seem to used to have? If I went back to the old channel, I don't think people would watch it. Like, I don't think the people who I lost would come back. I mean, I laid out my unfounded musings in the question a few minutes ago. People who weren't going to transfer, I don't think we're going to watch, period. So, yeah, maybe that's just me trying to justify it to myself, but that's how I view it. I don't regret moving, but I regret failing my country. And then No Syrup Required also asks, where has Lyco been? We probably all miss him, sad face. I recorded a bit with Lyco over winter break. And depending on how lazy I am making series here at college, that could be the next thing after the Black 2 blind stream thing. We didn't finish the game that we were recording, but hopefully it can last till like spring break when I come back and record with him some more. Or, since I actually have a car now, I could do an emergency weekend trip to record, which would be utterly ridiculous and not happen. But I recorded something with him. You're going to see it, so look forward to it. Tell your friends. Thenso37 asks, will you wear a fancy hat? Alas, I neglected to do so. I actually have several hats at college now, but they are all up in my room, up there. So I'm afraid that you'll just have to make do with this. That I would be remiss not to note that that is a reference to my original 2,000 subscriber special, on which I was asked if I would wear a fancy hat, and I wore I believe, a Sherlock cap? Or whatever they're called. They're a Sherlock cap. I'm sure they have an actual name. I have a couple flat caps up there, like cabbie caps, but alas, I forgot to bring one down here. Do you listen to music, and if so, what? Sort of answered before. I forgot to mention anime music as a catch-all. J-pop is a thing. A lot of energy, a lot of fun. But other than that, acoustic stuff. And do you wish that you looked like a young John Lennon? If I were so attached to that image, I wouldn't have buzzed my hair. Because God knows I got that comparison a lot. And it got to the point where I got kind of sick of it, so... like so. I'd rather be my own person, not defined by some other celebrity. Because God knows I'm going to surpass his popularity someday. Newbell Peter asks, do you plan to ever stream outside of Saturdays? Maybe over the summer, when I have a bunch of time and nothing to do. Except that won't happen because I'll probably have an internship or a job or whatever. Saturdays and Sundays are generally the best days for me, basically. Because that's just when I'm open, when I'm free. Free as the wind. So, don't bet on it. It depends on things. Maybe if I need to do an emergency recording session, I'll do it, but then I don't want to bother setting up a stream, and I just record it real quick, so probably not. I know you ask that because you usually can't make the Saturday recording sessions. Will you answer this question twice? No, I'll answer it once. When do you plan to do not blind commentary video thingamabob, totally not an LP of Black 2/White 2? Again, I think I sort of answered this last week. Sometime before Gen 6. So I got 9 months, 8 months almost now, so it's gonna happen, don't worry. 6202010 asks, what's the difference between a toast? Well, there are several types of toast, of course. There's toasting, like, you got two drinks, and you're like, haha, we toasted. And then there's bread toast, which is my personal favorite. And of course, even between those, there are different subtypes, demographics. Got my grandma has a toast where we just knock glasses in counterclockwise direction, and it's a lot less hectic. And of course, different types of bread leads to a different type of toast. It's a question that warrants exploration, and more exploration than I can give in this short video. Also, how many times does it take to Mexican? Well, from my understanding, it really depends on the situation and the context in which you Mexican. Like, trying to learn it in high school class versus a college class versus growing up a native speaker versus traveling abroad, the rate at which you Mexican drastically changes. It's all about context. Personally, I Mexican in high school, and that took about 5 years. And I think people who Mexican here in college got about the same amount of information, maybe even more, within 2 years. So it really varies, and probably even between high schools it varies, depending on the instructor and the exact course stuff that they're doing, which textbooks and stuff. Yug18111 asks, what is your favorite RPG? And he says, please don't say the Oracle games again. I wouldn't call the Oracle games RPGs. They're action puzzle games. I'm not a big RPG person. I've said this many times before. So whatever my favorite Pokemon game is at the moment would be my favorite RPG. And of course, that always changes. DigiSprite asks, would you play any more Pokemon hacks? So at a certain point, after Shiny Gold X, the Shiny Gold X series, I realized that I only wanted to do series of completed Pokemon hacks, with the stipulation that I actually think that the hack is a good game, which a lot of hacks don't actually qualify for. So that's why I started Brown, which turns out he is still working on it and made updates. But that worked out because I got to be a beta tester. And then I'm going to do Prism once it's done. But I've kind of not been in touch with the Pokemon hacking scene. I think it's getting dark. That didn't really help. I'm kind of out of touch with the Pokemon hacking scene. So, maybe... I'm doing Prism, for sure. But I'm not exactly on the lookout for more. They're a good source of Pokemon entertainment, but God knows I have a lot of Pokemon entertainment. Not really looking for that right now. And what's your favorite Zelda game? I've said many times that the Zelda game that I can pick up and enjoy anytime is Oracle of Seasons, because I grew up with it. But I think most Zelda games have pretty darn good merits. Majora's Mask, really, really good. Wind Waker, really, really good. Looking forward to the HD version. Even though I own the GameCube version and a GameCube and a Wii that can play GameCube games, and I can like rip the ISO or whatever to my computer and play it in an emulator, I want to buy that HD version. Twilight Princess has merits. Ocarina of Time 3D, definitive version of Ocarina of Time. But I just have to go back to saying Oracle of Seasons, because I can play it anytime. That guy Parsley asks, Beaver? And yes, Beaver. Leave it to Beaver to be vague about things, but yes, Beaver. Kitty Zero Takara asks, what is your opinion on the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind in particular, and if you like one of them, would you ever LP it? I've tried to get into Morrowind. I didn't like it very much. I think the appeal of the Elder Scrolls games is they're so open. they can just go anywhere, and it doesn't hold your hand very often. And I think it's a little too open for me. I love the concept of a huge exploration world, but I need a little more direction in my life. I haven't tried Oblivion, I haven't tried Skyrim. I've heard Skyrim's a lot better, but at this point in time, I'm not particularly inclined to play or LP them. Super Steve 602 asks, what are your opinions on the Fire Emblem series? Well, if you've been paying attention to my Facebook and or Twitter, you'll know that I'm actually super excited for Fire Emblem Awakening, the 3DS game that's coming out soon, which is... I didn't realize I was excited until I saw the trailer and downloaded the demo, but I'm excited. The problem with Fire Emblem is that I'm really bad at Fire Emblem games, so that'll be difficult. I've considered on occasion doing a video series on Path of Radiance, but I want to kind of play Radiant Dawn before I do that, but I hear that's really hard, so I've beaten Path of Radiance and Sacred Stones, which are like the two easiest in the series, so I'm just kind of terrible at them, but I enjoy them. Will there be a No More Heroes 2 playthrough? I forget if I answered this in the last one, but basically, I'm not confident in my abilities to play it as of this moment, and I'm not really in the mood to go back to it, so someday, maybe. Are there any plans to do commentary with other members of Hellfire Comms? I don't have a super strong relationship with anybody in Hellfire Comms, sort of Tom, but even that's not that much compared to how he relates to other people. No plans right now. Like, they're Hellfire people who know Pokemon way better than I do, and I would just be tracking them down. So, yeah, nothing, yeah. What goes best with cereal, lemonade or Moo Moo milk? I mean, it's cereal. Why would you have anything but milk with cereal? It doesn't matter what kind of milk. Milk, Moo Moo milk, faux show. Oh god, what is this username? Saucerajoy2neat asks, how do you like Dem apples? I like them crisp and slightly bitter. Fuji generally is the way to go. But I kind of value texture more than I value the flavor, to be honest. Unless it's like super sweet. So like crisp, not too grainy, not mushy, definitely not mushy. Fuji generally fits the bill. And oh god, everything's turning really red in the lighting there. Hi there. Why don't I scoot up? I don't know if that actually helped. But, Mitch Game Lover asks favorite food, which I already answered. Worst or just least favorite game you've ever played? I think I again said, in a variant of the question in the last episode, Banjo-Tooie is just a terrible, terrible game, and you should all feel ashamed for liking it. If you were put in charge of making or simply coming up with ideas for the next Pokemon title, what would you do? I would make Pokemon Snap 2 for the Wii U with all 6th gen and before Pokemon. That's what I would do if I had absolute creative control. That's never gonna happen, unfortunately. The Virtual Boy has a lot of different questions. How do you think the internet has affected you as a person? Internet has gotten me to actually speak my ideas a lot more. I found out that people actually do care what I think sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. So I've gotten more comfortable in expressing them. If you had another outlet for your commentary, would you have found another outlet for your commentary if the internet was non-existent? If so, what would it be? I might try to be like a radio host at my college's like radio company or something. But like, internet propelled me to be more outspoken, so I don't know if I would look for a way to be more outspoken if I did not have the internet. Did your videos ever help you in a hard spot in your life? It's a way, it's a hobby, basically, to keep me sane, because otherwise I would spend way too much time on schoolwork and I would go insane. So that's good. Let's not go insane. Ooh, that's super bright. Yeah, let's go with it. Also, could you do a shout out to my friend Mitchell D, who introduced you to me? That rhymes. So Mitchell D, you're a cool person. Thanks for being viral marketing. It always weirds me out when I hear about people actually spreading the word about internet things that are not Gangnam Style. Jacket Kong asks, did anything inspire you to start making video commentaries? If so, what? Any people in particular inspire you? I originally got the idea because I saw what Maryland was doing for Pokemon Diamond, and I thought, man, I could do that. That's not so hard. So I did, and it sucked, but it got me to where I am. So that's alright. Now as inspiration? I mean, honestly, I don't watch nearly as many LPs and whatnot as I used to. I don't know. My primary inspirations are people in other mediums who are similarly like expressing their opinions or being big and outgoing. But like more other like celebrity kind of peoples. I guess if I were to pick one person, one channel, would be the Campster channel on YouTube, who runs Errant Signal. I don't necessarily agree with all his opinions, but he tries to go into a more analytical kind of mindset in looking at video games as both a technology and an art form. And he makes good points, and I like things that he says, and I try to think in a similar manner much of the time. What are your thoughts towards the Sonic series? Sonic quality is like here, and then here, and then it's like, woo! Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations are really, really good. Sonic Generations was, as I stated before, my 2011 Game of the Year. So, really, really good. 2D games are fine. They're not bad. But I didn't grow up with them, so they're not a huge part of my childhood. So they're competent platformers for me, basically. And then, of course, that middle section that we all like to forget about. Let's just not think about that. What's your favorite genre of game? I don't know. If we're calling Zelda a puzzle game, and Portal a puzzle game, and Flow a puzzle game, then puzzle. But, like, I'm really bad at puzzles, so I hesitate to say that. But something like that. Puzzle, I would say. Action. Fighting. No, not fighting. Flame Astro asks, do you miss all that hair you used to have? Why did you get rid of it in the first place? I don't generally miss it. I got rid of it because I'm balding, as you may be able to notice from my wicked widow's peak. And if I were able to do a full, like, 180 turnaround, you would see I have a bald spot. That isn't actually, like, a normal bald spot. It's some other hair loss condition that has a Wikipedia page, but I can never remember what it is. And generally, the thing to do when you're balding is to own it and shave it short. I've considered, like, going even shorter than this, but I need to get a better set of clippers before I do that. And I don't want to go full bald, just because I'm kind of bad at shaving. So I might cut myself. I might have an uneven job. But for confidence, basically. And also because when I went to college, I was no longer unique in the fact that I had long hair. And so that aspect of me that set me apart in my high school wasn't really a thing anymore. And I had less of an inclination to keep it. Um, how is life treating ya, buddy? As of right now, it's pretty good. It's the Friday before I go back to class. So, when I record the next section of this, next Friday most likely, um, I'll probably be extremely frustrated and depressed and angry and a lot of other things, but right now, I'm doing pretty darn well. I wish the lighting in this car were better, but we can't always get what we want. P. Crowl7 asks, do you have a Wii U, and if so, what do you think of it? I don't have a Wii U. I'll look into getting one when it has a stronger first-party library, because as of right now, it has a bunch of good games that are ports of games from other systems. So if you have the other systems, it's not really worth getting a Wii U, unless you really, really want New Super Mario Bros. U, which I'm not really into. I'll play it eventually, don't worry. Jolteon39 asks, what is your favorite name? Maximilian. What kind of small things do you find fascinating? My Wang. Most small things, I don't know. Bugs are creepy. I don't like bugs. And those are the small things that I think of when I think of small things. And I'm not really a biologist, so, cells are neat. The fact that we have super tiny biological things doing super big, important things, that's cool. String theory is a neat thing, but so many small things are all based around scientific things. Unless you're talking about the little things in life. In which case, a cup of hot cocoa on a cold night. Things like that. Someone or other. It's cut. Oh God, no, Kindle, why? It was cut off from the page, and now I can't see it. Oh God, what page am I? Oh no, am I at the top now? Oh God, I am. Oh no, that's not what I want. I'm coming. I'm going. Don't worry. Okay. Rainbow Derp 24 asks, do you have a Reddit account? I do, actually. And if you're asking that question because you think you saw me on Reddit, you probably did. I have made a post in the Solo Pokes subreddit about my current upcoming solo run that I'm doing that I haven't actually beat yet, so I haven't officially announced it. If you are interested in what that is and want to cheer me on, great. Go for it. Go to that subreddit. You'll recognize me. I'm Vitamin Datai. I don't really post anywhere else on Reddit, because Reddit is kind of a hive of scum and villainy, basically. But yeah, I do. Don't use it much. I'm not much for communication with people. Are you a fan of Doctor Who? I watched the first 2 seasons of the new Who, and I found that it's just not the kind of show that I'm interested in. Not because of the setting or anything, but it is a show about demonstrating cool sci-fi ideas. It is not a show about having strong characters that develop, and it is not a show about strong societal implications or messages or morals, and it's not a show about having a strong season-long plot issue that needs to be resolved. It's just showing off cool settings. And I just found that it didn't hold my interest because every episode was so separated from every other that I had just no reason to keep watching. What's your favorite book or book series? See, unfortunately, I've stopped reading such things as books. This is a terrible answer, but Harry Potter is still really good, guys. It might be, the go-to young adult thing, but it's a really good series, so shut up. What is your height, weight, and shoe size? I'm 6'2" on a good day. I'm 165 at college, 170 at home. And I think my shoe size is 10.5. Men's, US, adult, whatever. It's I don't generally pay attention. I go into the shoe store, show them my shoe, and it's like, alright, I'll get you the new model of this. And then what do you plan on doing after you graduate? Probably grad school, so I can figure out what I want to do with my life. Education is still a possibility, but that's what a lot of kids at my college do, is they go to grad school, so they don't have to actually do things. The Lakamadana asks, are you planning on blind streaming or solo running 6th gen? I will likely blind stream it. I should have a 3DS video footage capture thing by then, so that won't be an issue. I don't know if the blind stream will be a series. It might be, but the Black 2 blind stream wasn't exactly super popular, and I'm not exactly satisfied with the results. But I may stream it just for the sake of streaming it. And there probably will be a solo run of it eventually. Will you go back to ROM hacks? Sort of covered before, sort of, eventually. Will you do the big monthly stream events ever again? It's harder to do big stream events at college just because I have a room with really thin walls, and I both don't want to disturb other people and don't want them disturbing me. Mostly the first one. So again, maybe when I go home for summer, could be, but no guarantees. Will you be my bestest friend in the whole wide world? Unfortunately, that position is taken, and there can be only one, which is, it's horrible and exclusionary, but that's just how the system works, and we have to live within it. Robvit asks, would you ever consider playing through a main series Dragon Quest game? I think in the last episode I made my position rather clear on the Dragon Quest games. They're not my kind of games, unfortunately. Komodo2299 asks, are you still in your band? I don't know if the band that he's referring to is my high school band, which I am no longer a part of because I'm not at high school anymore and it's in a different state and stuff, or in the band that I am currently in at college, my college band. I am still in a band, but it may or may not be the band to which you refer. Ghostly Swordsman asks, why did you decide to switch to your backup channel? I know it was originally created due to the false copyright shenanigans just in case, but I'm still perplexed. Basically, I had some legit copyright strikes on my old channel, where I totally defied proper copyright stuff, and got flagged for it. And when I was approached by people to become a partner, I couldn't use an account that had copyright strikes on it. So I transferred to my backup account, Vitamin Dati, which did not have strikes on it. And that, of course, led to many implications that have been discussed in this video. But it was for the sake of partnership, also getting back my unlimited time limit thing, because the copyright flags forced me into the 15-minute, 30-second limit again. At the time, that was the only way to do custom thumbnails. So a lot of the partner advantages I just wanted to make use of. So I made the switch. And I was always afraid that more flags would come, and the entire account would get taken down. And then where would I be? Do you still plan to... Do you still plan to play through Cool Boy Man's sequel to Brown as well as Shiny Gold? Shiny Gold is never being completed. I'm just going to throw that out there. There have been a couple fan projects to try to continue it. They've not finished. So I'm not betting on that. Probably not going to do that. I will play through Prism when it comes out. Ideally, it'll come out within my lifetime. Cool Boy Man is still working on it, don't worry. He's just taking his time, and he's working for actual developers now, so he has other projects that he needs to work on. That's just how life works, you see. How do you think you as a person you have changed since the last Q&A extravaganza? I'm more confident. I have less hair. I mean, I didn't change that much. I'm just more comfortable getting out of my comfort zone, so to speak. And that applies to all facets of life. I've now worked in an actual workplace, which is great. Um, what are your plans for the future? This isn't limited to your channel. I mean, again, possibly education, possibly entertainment of some sort. Really depends on what life hits me with, because you can't plan everything. And finally, Datai, what is best in life? Brownies to whoever gets the reference. I don't get the reference. But the best thing in life is... It's an individual thing. Some people like different things. But I would say comfort. Even if people are comforted by different things, everyone wants comfort. I would say that. I'm probably wrong, but yeah. D3ATH Production asks, who's your favorite YouTuber? I don't know. Again, I go kind of through cycles of passions. Current guy who I love very dearly is the channel is called Let's Go to Class. The series is Internet Comment Etiquette, and it's just it's a scathing criticism / parody satire thing of how big of an idiot everyone on the internet is, basically. And he finds ways to make it fresh. It's not just reading stupid YouTube comments, which is funny in its own right. But, like, it's clever. Just go check it out. It's good. Thank you to Lyco for pointing me towards that, because I wouldn't have known otherwise. Okay, did that work? Did that work? Did that work? Did it work? Yes, it did. Raikomon asks, what's the most recent manga you've read / are reading? Again, I've kind of lost... I don't read as much manga as I used to. I still keep up with Weekly Shonen Jump. But I don't go out and seek new series as much. I took a little stab at Magi, which was alright. A little bare bones, like... It got into politics, anime politics, which is a little blah. But it was funny enough. The two series that I really, really like, probably more than anything in Shonen Jump right now, are Silver Spoon, by the creator of Fullmetal Alchemist. It's a kid who goes to an agricultural high school and learns vital life lessons, both about agriculture and just life in general. And it's really, really good! Oh my god, it's really good. And that was probably really scary because of the dramatic lighting. But yes, highly, highly recommended. If you saw Fullmetal Alchemist in any form and enjoyed it, you should enjoy this. It's not as grotesque and heavy, but serious stuff happens. And yet it manages to be really funny. Sorry, one sec. That was disgusting. The other series that I really like is The World God Only Knows, which appears to be kind of coming to a climax right now. It starts out as a super nerd who only plays dating sims, being forced to date actual people in order to save the world. And then it gets into some crazy stuff about goddesses and like hell and other things like that. But it's like, Keima, the main character, is really funny. He honestly hasn't developed much, but he's just so fun to see him constantly try to interact with the real world, and it actually kind of works sometimes. It's not dramatic gold, and it doesn't have super heavy implications about life. Sometimes, like, characters will go through a little learning process, but it's nothing mind-blowingly unique. It's just really fun, basically. So I'd recommend that. I look forward to it every week. Keima is currently trying to be an alien to fool 7-year-olds. It's funny. Ricardo Arellano. Ricardo Arellano. Would you ever stop making videos on YouTube? Question mark, question mark, question mark. It'll happen eventually. I think I said in the last episode, yes, it will happen eventually. It's only a matter of time, but hopefully I'll be able to entertain in some way, shape, or form after that. How much time does it consume to make a video, edit, and post it on YouTube? Again, varies on the series. Blind stream is how long do I want this episode to be. Render, compress, upload, depending on the length, it takes a little while longer. If I'm doing something like Heart Gold versus Crystal, or the upcoming Leaf Green versus Blue, then I have to actually pick what footage I want to keep, what I don't, sort through the footage to find the important stuff, then watch over all of that while commentating, edit the commentary, make sure there's nothing terrible in it, then render, compress, upload. So it does drastically vary. You can bet that for every episode that you watch that took actual editing, so not a blind stream, I probably worked on it for about triple the amount of time that you see in the video. Something like that. Blind stream, again, takes much less time. And basically anything with live commentary will take a lot less time. You can see how much effort I put in based on how much editing is done. Because, basically, yeah, if it looks like I haven't edited it all, I haven't put a whole lot of effort into it. Which is terrible, right? Hopefully I didn't skip anything in that, but I'll trust my Kindle. Tosh McWilliams asks, for those among your fans who are the Legend of Zelda fans, will you ever meet their needs in the near future? Yes. I'm constantly fighting with myself about which Zelda game I want to do next. There's a finite supply, but I can guarantee that a Zelda game is on its way. I won't go into any more detail. Do you like Japanese anime and not just Pokemon, but a variety, and why? I've never had to verbalize why exactly I like anime, but the same reason I would like any other form of media. An interesting plot, interesting characters with good motivations and arcs. Anime doesn't follow, different rules from other forms of media. Other TV shows and other films do the same things and are interesting for the same reasons. So, yeah. Often, anime offers a different culture that you can learn about, or at least inspect, because, their culture is different, and it's a bit more further removed from our reality. So that's a reason to watch anime, I guess, but that's not the primary reason I watch. What type of genre of film do you like, and why? Pixar movie is not a genre, but I like Pixar movies. Animation in general tends to be really, really good. As long as it's not a sequel. Because 9 out of 10 sequels are pretty bad. But I think I enjoy comedies more than dramas, I would say that much. There are good dramas that I enjoy, but I would rather see an action movie or a feel-good movie or comedy than I would a depressing movie. And Pixar movies are great because they're generally really, really funny, and there's action and stuff, and then there's one moment that really wrenches at your heart, so you don't feel like it was total junk food. And then, finally, are you single? Poking out tongue. Yes, I'm single. I think I answered that in some shape or form in the previous episode. Yeah, I'm single. And I'm fine with that for the time being. I'm sure I will find the right person eventually, and I'm not going to go out to a bar and try to find a person to hook up with just for the sake of having hooked up with someone. That's just not my style. And the lighting in here is getting really bad, and we're coming up on an hour, so I think I'm actually going to cut this session short. And I will see you guys next week for another installment of the Q&A Extravaganza. Adios.